That's my prayer today, is that He fills you with a passion for righteousness. Lord, my prayer today is that Jesus will guide you through every storm. Yes, every storm. Lord, every storm. This is my prayer today.
I'm here because I am a roaring lion crying out, righteousness. Welcome, everybody, to the Trust in the Lord Hour, the best broadcast hour on the entire planet, maybe in the entire universe, but not as good as in heaven. But hey, listen, the Trust in the Lord Hour is now registered, certified as a memorial in heaven. And I'm not joking about it. I'm quite serious. I don't mean to seem flippant about that. We got a lot to cover today in Solomon's University and Solomon's Space. It's been a great journey so far. And we're thankful to Almighty God that He's allowed us to participate. Thank God for all of you that have participated with me and following me in these teachings that we're doing. Now, several things we want to do today. We want to talk about the very basic law of creation. The very basic law that all things created have to respond to. And, of course, the very first words that God spoke to humanity was, of course, be fruitful. And from there, we have to go to, there are a couple of things I want to talk about, that the Lord has put in my heart. He's told me to come and say about don't quit, about I got this thing, it's too soon to quit, and what will happen if you do not quit, and what happened when Sarah kind of gave in on God's prophecy to her. But I want to get started today with the 20% increase, and what I want to do today is to walk you through some teachings that Jesus taught regarding being a servant and trusting in the Lord. And what I want to do is ask the engineer at his will to bring up Luke's Gospel, chapter 16, because I want to be able to teach you the way to increase your life professionally, no matter who you are, no matter how old you are, no matter how young you are. The way to increase your life professionally, which then will give you a greater opportunity to serve other people. And some of the byproducts of that is that it will give you the opportunity to earn more of this world's possessions or riches, if you want to call it that way, call it like that. But what I want to do in this 20% increase, I want to help you to increase your ability to first trust God, trust Him, and then from there, find someone else who put their trust in God and serve that person. Now, Luke's Gospel, chapter 16, verse 10, he that is faithful in that which is least is faithful also in much. And he that is unjust in the least is unjust also in much. But here's the verse. If therefore you've not been faithful, you've been faithful rather in unrighteous mammon. I'm sorry, let's read this again. And therefore ye have not been faithful in the unrighteous mammon, who will commit to you to your trust the true riches? And if you have not been faithful in that which is another man's? Who shall give you that which is your own? Okay, I'm struggling reading through that today. I don't know what's going on. At any rate, thank you, Mr. Engineer. So here's what I want to teach in terms of our increase. And Captain Elder Salem did a little bit of this summer in terms of his teaching about promotion, etc. But I want to encourage you. I want to encourage you to find someone who you can serve. Obviously, the person needs to be worthy. I'm not going to ask you to go out there and serve John Gotti or Al Capone or one of those guys, right? But I want to encourage you to give at least 20% of your life to serving someone you find is worthy. Listen to me very carefully. Listen to me very, very carefully. You need to find someone that is worthy of you serving them or assisting them. Now, you need to search your heart and look in your spirit and find out, well, who is it? You'll probably find there have been people who have been asking you to serve them, but you just never paid it any attention because you didn't realize that that was a way of increase. But you want to at least dedicate 20% of your life to serving someone other than your present, if you will, ways in which you communicate or relate to other people. Preferably, we want to find someone who's also serving. I got labeled as a servant of the Lord, which is really the highest. I mean, you can be a prophet, okay, you got prophets, you got prophetess, you can be an apostle, disciple, but the highest calling that God has, the Bible indicates the highest calling that God has is that of a servant. He says, he that will be great among you, let him be servant of all. I got labeled as a servant back in 2012. I was in Galilee, up in the North Country in Israel, having breakfast one morning at a hotel with a bunch of other people that I'd taken over to Israel to tour the Holy Land. And the Lord spoke to me and called me his servant. That is the highest calling that you can get. General is not higher, apostle is not higher. The highest calling that heaven recognizes that can be bestowed on any person is that of a servant. And I got that. I didn't get that right away. I got that 2012, which was 10 years ago. I just made it to servant. So you hear me talk about I'm the Lord's servant. But here's what you want to do. There are a couple of things. One is that you want to find somebody that you can serve. And, maybe you start out by giving them 3% of your time or your abilities. And maybe you can move to 5% at some point in time. Your ultimate goal is that you want to move to 20% of serving people. Now, the other thing is that in finding someone that you can serve, you want to start in this particular area looking at the poor and the needy. The poor and the needy, though they may be sinners, their position in life as poor and needy is a great qualification of Almighty God accepting your service to them. So look for that. And then you might want to find someone, for instance, not to seem boastful, and I said to you before, if anything I say seems that I'm bragging or that I'm being boastful and one thing after the other, please forgive me because that's not my intent. My problem is I know about me so I can tell my story. It's not all about me, James, David, Manning, the righteous, all that. It isn't that. So if anytime you feel a tad offended that I'm going too deep into talk about my own experiences, please forgive me because I don't intend to be braggadocious, if that's a word that I very seldom use. But anybody who serves me serves Jesus. I'll say that again. You may not be labeled as of yet by Jesus. Now, you could be on your way, or maybe you are. You may not have been labeled by, heaven may not have called you yet a servant, right? Heaven may not have called you as of yet a servant. So you don't get a chance to directly serve Jesus. You don't get a chance to directly serve him as did Peter or as did Mary and Martha and Lazarus and, the prostitutes and all that crowd that directly served him. One woman, a prostitute, I believe, her job was to anoint his head because he's going to be crucified, and the anointing was for his burial. And so you may not have an opportunity to serve at that level. You may not have that opportunity. But what you can do is find someone who does serve the Lord Jesus Christ and serve that person. And through serving that person, you directly serve Jesus. And it may one day, according to Scripture, will elevate you to your own level of being a servant. As we read in the Scriptures, if you are righteous, and Jesus put it this way, if you are righteous, if you serve even unrighteous people, unrighteous mammon, for instance, serve the poor. They're unrighteous or serve somebody that, but if you serve even an unrighteous mammon, if you are faithful there, God will one day give you your own. So one of the ways you want to be able to get your own title as being a servant is that you want to start looking at, well, how can I give 20%, let's say 3% of your life and your time you want to give to serving the poor and the needy. Now here, let me talk to you because it's here. Your income, your substance is already qualified by the Scriptures, not at 3%, not at 5%, not at 7%, but your substance, your income is required at 10%. You are to give 10% of your income for the service of the Lord. You're supposed to give 10% of your income for the service of the Lord. That's called the tithe. And then, of course, there is the first fruit offering. But one of the things that I'm amazed at is that we have people in our church that come to serve. They come here early in the morning, they leave late at night, and they just serve. They don't get paid any money, and they do all kinds of jobs. And, sometimes I come in the building, there's people up there cleaning. We don't have a professional cleaning staff that comes in and clean. Whoever can come in and clean the bathrooms, the floors. And I'm amazed at the dedication of service. And it's beautiful. It is absolutely beautiful. This church wasn't like that when I first came to pastor. People you ask them to sweep the floor, pick up a piece of paper, you got to fight with a deacon because he ain't going to do it back in those days. So I don't want to spend too much time on this. But I want to spend enough time that you can increase your impact upon the world by serving. And I would suggest that you find some needy person, or you can find a person that trusts the Lord. And you find someone that trusts the Lord, and you trust that person, you are also trusting the Lord. This is beautiful. And Jesus taught it, he gave it, he went through these teachings in several ways about faithfulness. And the ultimate goal Jesus taught in Luke's Gospel, chapter 16, that we read a few moments ago, is that you are to be given your own. And once you give your own, then God will send somebody to serve you. And the person that serves you, God will send someone to serve that person. I believe this. I believe that marriages can take place. If you're a middle-aged woman or middle-aged man and you're looking to get married, and start serving somebody. And then God will send somebody to serve you. And, and that could culminate in a marriage, because a marriage is your mate is called a helpmate, right? Are you listening to what I'm saying? And by serving people, anybody, as I said, started a few months ago, and I don't want to be bragging, but anybody that serves me serves Jesus, because I'm the Lord's servant. Now, it took me It took me 30 years to qualify as a Lord's servant. I wasn't that. I mean, I was qualified as a preacher. You can even, a prophet is okay, all right. Not that I'm saying that I'm one, but the highest calling in the entire Bible is the calling. What heaven recognizes more than anything else, the greatest person among all of us is he that is a servant of all. That's Bible. That's Jesus. That's Jesus. So anybody who serves me serves Jesus. That's just all, because I'm his servant. Now, I said you need to give, try to start out with 3%, 5%, but I want to go back to the idea of the tithe, because the tithe is your service. It's your service to the purpose of the Lord's house, of the Levites, of the pastors, or the ministry itself. That is the amount that is required. Now, you can give more than 10%. You can give 20%. But what is required of your substance is 10%. What I'm teaching now is a correlative, if you will, of what the tithe and the first fruit offering is. By you giving your time, giving your service, giving your encouragement to serve other people. And you say, Pastor, I'm already involved in something. Then step it up another 5%. Because if you are already serving, you understand that principle, there are people out there that need you. They really do need you. They need you. And then once you understand that principle of service, then teach other people. In fact, I'm commissioned every one of y'all to teach everything. If you've learned anything from our teaching, especially since we've been on Solomon's University, if you've learned anything, you are required to teach it to someone else. I told Evangelist Hundley that she has to teach her son Dante, who's the firstborn. She has to teach him he's firstborn. She said she's going to do it once right now she's, But listen, you are required, if you learn something from me, don't just keep it to yourself. Find somebody who you can teach it to. If you learn something from me, and I pray that you have, you may not have learned everything I've taught, but what you've learned and you know that you've solidly learned it, turn around and teach somebody else. Turn around and teach somebody else what you have learned. So let me wrap this up because I want to get to some other things about the basic creation principle. But let me say this, the highest calling, if you ever get labeled as Almighty God, as a servant, there's no place else higher in heaven to go. That's it, my brother. The greatest among you is he that is servant of all. So start serving the poor and the needy, but also you need to give 10% of your substance for the service of the purpose of the Lord. You got to do that. That's required. Now you can do more than 10%, but the 10% is the minimum that's required. And then, of course, we're moving on to the first fruit offering. I'm coming back to that. I'm not through with that. But I want to say to you that you need to find someone who you can serve. And there's all kind of creative ways which you can do it. So, Pastor, man, I don't really know anybody else, and everybody I know you, and so what am I doing? The Lord will show you. The Lord will bring somebody to you that needs your service. The Lord will bring somebody. And the people that come to you, let them know that you put your trust in God. Let them know, whether you serve them or not, that you trust the Lord. All right, I'm coming back to that. I'm through with that. I'll be back to that. Maybe one of the other teachings, or if I get a chance today, I'll circle back to it. But here, the other thing is I want to say to you today, before we get to the basic, the first law of the world, the first law of creation is to be fruitful. That's it. That's the first law of the entire, and it covers all things on the planet. Be fruitful. The first law, as we're coming up on the first fruit giving. But here's what I want to say beyond that. I'm coming back to that also. Is that I was talking to the Lord this morning, And he has sent me here today to tell you, don't quit. Don't quit. Now, that has to be qualified. But, that has to be qualified along the line. Not that I'm telling the Lord to qualify, but it has to be qualified on the line. If the Lord has called you, and if what you are serving or doing is true and righteous, don't quit. If what you are doing is ordained of God, you've been called of God, you've been positioned of God, you have been assigned by God to do something, he sent me here today to tell you, don't quit. Don't quit. So I asked the Lord for some remedies of what happens when you feel like quitting. When you just get to the end of the rope, you're tired of knotting the end of the rope, but you still feel like quitting and you can't get over that feeling. I asked the Lord what should I tell the people when they get to that point where they feel like quitting? And he said, tell them, don't quit. But beyond that, what the Lord has said is that your victory is in your will. Your victory is in your will. As long as you have not given up, then it isn't over with. Your victory is in your will. So when you get to that point where what has been pushing you has pushed you to the point, now listen to this very carefully, it has pushed you to the point where you want to quit, where you want to give up. That's just a fight. It's just another round in the fight. Don't go for it. Knock that one out too. It's just another round, so don't quit. If what you're doing is true, if it's righteous, if it's your call, ordained, or you've been assigned, don't quit. Don't quit. Just don't quit. So what after that? Just don't quit. If you don't quit, we'll see what's going to happen if I don't quit. I know what's going to happen if you quit. It's over with. You can write your epitaph. If you quit, it's over with. You can write that yourself. But what happens if you don't quit? That, my friend, is the answer. When you get to that point, well, what's going to happen if I don't quit? Listen, here's something. I was talking to the Lord about this. Pastor Minnie, talking to the Lord. Okay, I don't want to sound all preachy-fied, but on the other hand, I don't want to try to hide my relationship with Jesus either. I'm not, because the devil out there talking about who he think he is, But here, we were talking about we were teaching why did God harden Pharaoh's heart. But let me run this one past you. That, God told Abraham and Sarah that they were going to have a child. Abraham was 75 years old when God said it. Sarah was 65. 75, here's a 75-year-old man. God said, you're going to have a child. You're going to have a son, not a child, a son. So I think they went about 16 years into that prophecy, and it didn't happen, and Sarah quit. And Abraham fell for it. Sarah quit and said, all right, I give up. I tell you what, take my maid Hagar, take her, go into her, Abraham, and whatever y'all do will be my child. Abraham said, okay. He did it. Now, here's the thing that I think is important for us, and we want to pray about this, and don't forget what I just taught you about serving, all right? The Islamic religion today is the Islamic religion because Abraham put his seed in an Egyptian woman. And that's Abraham's seed, his sperm, was so explosive The anointing on Abraham, the anointing on that man was so explosive. Wherever he put his seed was going to grow up something powerful. Wherever he put his seed was going to, something powerful was going to come as a result of it. Wherever he put his seed. And so when he put his seed in Hagar, God could not look at that boy Ishmael and just let him be just another person. That's Abraham's seed. Now, that happened because Sarah quit. So roll the curtain back. Sarah don't quit, we get a different Bible. Sarah don't quit, we get a different. Sarah don't quit, we won't have any Muslims running around here talking about, Allah Akbar. If Sarah had not quit, we wouldn't have these Muslims out here in the world today. That's the truth. That is the truth. So you see what happens when you quit. You see what happens to you when you quit. And check this out. The Palestinians who are Muslims, right, and all in the Middle East, all of them over there in the Middle East, over there, whether it's Pakistan or whether it's Iran or whether it's Saudi Arabia or, Syria, all over there in the Middle East, all of them have encircled Israel. And they're still fighting. Those two brothers still fighting. The Muslims and the Jews are still fighting because Sarah quit. They're fighting right now, blood being shed right now, all kinds of things going on between the Muslims and the Jews because Sarah quit. I'm not saying that because I'm angry with Sarah. But you see what I'm talking about. Don't quit. Don't quit. God could not ignore Ishmael. He couldn't do it. He sent an angel. Hagar was out there by a well, the Bible says, in Genesis 16. She was out there. God sent an angel and said, I'm not going to forget you. You got Abraham's seed. I am not going to forget you. I'm not going to forget you. He told Hagar, he said, now go back. Check this out. He said, go back to the tent with Abraham and Sarah, and I'll give you 3 seconds. What did he tell her to do to Sarah and Abraham? I'll give you 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3. He told her, go back and serve. You see what I'm saying? He told her, go. He said, I'm not going to forget you. I'm not going to forget you, Hagar. I'm not going to forget Ishmael. I'm going to make him a great man. But you got to go back and serve Sarah. You see? You see what happened? You see? So you got to become a servant. I'm talking to you now, and then you got to teach other people, and you are under Holy Ghost command. Whatever I teach you, if you learn it, then go teach somebody else. Go and serve. Go and serve. The thing that I find most fascinating about this is that, this whole Islamic religion is all because Sarah quit. You say, well, Pastor Man, no Muslim would have been anyway. You can't prove that. Yeah, there would have been Muslims anyway. Somebody else would start it. You can't prove that. You can't prove that. It was the power of Abraham's seed. So many of you have got, you listen to me right now, you probably got an anointing upon you and I think the reason why people listen to me is because they got an anointing upon them and they know I trust the Lord. They know that. They know that. And you may have a powerful seed too. You may have a powerful, whatever you touch can create great religions. I told y'all the other day, the Lord told me that my job is to correct the Hamites, to chasten them. And I've been doing it. That's what I have been anointed to do. Abraham was anointed to bring forth a nation of righteous. That was his job, Abraham's job. That's the seed that God put in him. God put a seed in me to correct the Hamite brother. And so the angel told Hagar, get up. Get up. I haven't forgotten about your boy. Get up. Go back and serve Sarah. So you need to find somebody you can serve. You need to find somebody you can give 20% of your time to in service. You say, Pastor, man, I got a full-time job now. I'm working. I can barely get an hour of sleep. Look for it. Pray about it. God will show you. Well, Pastor, man, what do you want me to do? Go to a homeless shelter? Well, I mean, if that's what's necessary, I don't know. You're asking me. You ought to learn by now. If you've been listening to me teach for a length of time, if you learn by now, when I say something like that, don't ask me where to go. Get on your knees and ask the Lord. Ask him. Why don't you ask him? Ask Jesus. Say, Lord, I heard the pastor, he said he had a message from you that you sent him to tell us to serve. Well, Lord, what do you want me to do? Here I am, Lord. What do you want me to do? And he'll show you. So I'm thankful to the Lord that we've been able to have this time in Solomon's space. I'm thankful to Almighty God that he's allowed us to come together like this. It's been a real joyous time. And I want to say one other thing too, is that, to get admitted into the Bible, you got to have a major problem. You got to have a major problem. And to get admitted as a servant, and you could be, some of y'all, as much as you have been, if you will, in God's will, you haven't reached the level of a servant. I'll tell you this, you need to come, if those of you who are online, praise God for y'all. Thank God that you stay online. Thank God you come every day. But if you ever get an opportunity to come to this church, you're going to be amazed at the service. Everybody here is a servant. Everybody here is serving somebody. Everybody here is serving the children, serving food, serving me, serving you. We serve you right there where you are. You ever come to this place, you're going to be amazed at the spirit of servants here. And it keeps everybody busy, so they'll stay out of everybody else's business. You're going to be amazed if you ever come here. That's the truth. People be fighting over, it's my time to clean the floor. It's my time to mop the floor. It's my time. No, you did it last week. No, I didn't do it. I was supposed to. And that's a good thing. And the other thing is that you can't judge. If you make a decision to serve someone, don't judge them. Be faithful. Be faithful in righteous and unrighteous manner. Be faithful. But listen, the greatest, here, the tithe is service. The tithe is what you give for the service of the Lord. That's the tithe. So, and 10% of that is required. Before you pick up a broom, or before you go to a homeless shelter, make sure you're a tither. Make sure you give your first fruit offering. You see, because if you're not doing that, if you can't do the very basics of service, such as the tithe, then how you going to get, if you can't give 10% of your money, how you going to give 20% of yourself? If you can't give 1 week's paycheck, how you going to give yourself to somebody else? If you cannot give 10% of your, if you can't give the tithe, how you going to give it's just your substance, it's just your money. That's all. It ain't nothing but money. And it ain't all the money, just 10% of it. If you can't do that, how you going to give your heart if you can't give your money? How you going to give your heart in service to someone so they'll know that they're being served and not being bamboozled if you can't give your money? If you can't give 10%, say, well, I don't give very much money. That's the same thing I said a few moments ago, where people say, well, I'm very busy now and I just don't have the time. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. You're using the time for something else, and mainly ungodly, on your computer, watching television, sleeping. You're using your time unwisely. Well, I only get a few bucks at the end of the month. First of the month, I get a little thing here and there. No, It is the basic law of creation. I'll tell you what, Let me put it to you this way. If you go to Matthew's Gospel, chapter 25, there are 3 people in there. In a segment of the teaching after the 5 virgins, the 10 virgins, there's one man that got 5 talents. There's another man that got 2 talents. There's another man that got 1. The man who got the 1 talent said, "Well, I only get this 1 talent. I just got this one thing, so I can't do nothing with this. I'm gonna put it in a hole somewhere." That's those of you who say, "Well, I only just get a few dollars, and so I would, if I got more, I would do more, but I can't." You know what the Lord said to that man? He called him an unfaithful servant, and he cast him into outer darkness. Send him to hell. Send that boy to hell. Send him to hell. Show us your bone. The engineer gonna show it to you. Gonna show it to you. You unprofitable. I'm sorry, I said unfaithful. You unprofitable servant. And he sent him into outer darkness where there was weeping and gnashing of teeth. Send him to hell. Talking about, I just got a little bit. I only got this one, and I can't. I can't give nothing right now. But if Steve Harvey comes and I hit the sweepstake, I'm gonna give Pastor Manning, Lord have mercy, I'll pay that mortgage, I'll pay that foreclosure myself. If Steve Harvey comes, but I only get about $1,500 a month, so I can't. Okay, all right. You are unprofitable. Call him a servant, though. Call him a servant. So it's important that we recognize that if you're learning, then you need to teach. It's no good for me that if I sit here and teach you and you just keep it all to yourself. And then especially if I teach you and you don't do it. So now, the religion of Islam came because Sarah quit. Last time we were together, I was teaching because he got these people running around here said we don't have to keep the law anymore. And Solomon said, "My son, forget not the law." I pray that you listen to that teaching. If you didn't, got to go back and get it. I think it's called, the teaching is labeled "Be Fruitful" under Solomon's University, probably at 16. Be fruitful. But think about it for just a second. Why would God give such a good word that will be health to your navel and marrow to your bones and then tell you, don't use it? It ain't no good. It's irrelevant. Why would the Lord do that? Why would the Lord tell you that honor the Lord with your substance and the first fruits of all your increase, and so shall your barns be filled with plenty, and your presses shall burst open with new wine, and then turn around and tell you, oh, you can ignore that. That don't work anymore. And then the other thing is that why would the Lord tell you that you don't have to keep the law? Because without the law, there's no identification of what sin is. If we don't know what sin is, if we don't have a law, then nothing is sinful. And if we don't have sin, then we don't need Jesus. We don't need salvation. We don't need salvation if we're not sinners. And only the thing that makes us a sinner is the law tells us that we're a sinner. So to say that we got to get rid of the law means that anything goes. So you don't need Jesus no more. So when a preacher stands up, or some idiot, a jerk, a devil stands up and says, we don't have to do the law no more. What he's saying, we don't need Jesus. What he's saying. And that's the devil talking. I can tell you that. That's the devil talking. That's the devil. That's the devil talking. We don't need Jesus. Yes, you do. Why do you need Jesus? Because the law said you're a sinner. Oh. Well, that's why I need him. Yeah. Well, what if there's no law? Then there's no sin. Then you don't need Jesus for salvation. You only need salvation. You only need salvation from sin. And you don't know what sin is until you got the law. So if there's no law, there's no sin, then there's no need for the Lord Jesus Christ. But he came, bled, and died to fulfill the law. And that's what he said out of his own mouth. Not what these devils, these shysters, these pulpit pimps, these Jesus running around here in these barns or in these little old churches with 2 or 3 members saying that nonsense. That this is not nonsense. That is absolutely blasphemy. That's right. So today I want to wrap this up. I see my time is just about is that the basic law of creation is to be fruitful. In Genesis chapter 1, verse 28, God, the first word God spoke to humanity, now he said, let there be light, and the light came. He said, let there be firmaments, and so that happened. But the first words that God spoke to humanity was, be fruitful. Genesis chapter 1, verse 28. And God blessed them, that's Adam and Eve. And God said unto them, these are the first words he said, be fruitful, and multiply, and replenish the earth, and subdue it. Be fruitful. So the basic law of creation is to be fruitful. And everything that God created, he commands it to be fruitful. In commemoration of that, we have the, if you will, the blessed privilege of participating in the first fruit offering. The first fruit, going all the way back to creation itself. The basic law of creation is to be fruitful. And the beginning of every year, we bring the first fruit. We're being fruitful. Did you bring your fruit this year? Did you bring your first fruit this year? Are you fruitful? Did you bring your fruit? Did you bring your first fruit? Are you fruitful? Are you fruitful? Be fruitful. The basic law. It is perhaps the greatest law of creation is to be fruitful. And quite frankly, it's an enduring law. It is spoken to all cattle, all fish, all birds of the air. They all have to be fruitful. It's the thing that ties all humanity and living entities together. All of us are tied into the same command of God to be fruitful. And so this privilege of bringing the first fruit offering at the beginning of the year, it's a great privilege. And the other thing is that you align yourself with creation. And it's a matter of service as well. So we have been teaching this, and mainly because we're coming up on that period. It won't be long now before the first fruit offering is required. You can give it now if you so desire. But I pray that you're listening to what I'm saying and that you're not rejecting it. You're not rejecting it. I was praying this morning, and some of these people that have been against us in this foreclosure, God's going to do something. Well, I'm not going to tell you what he's going to do. But I can tell you this, that God has hardened the hearts of some of these people. That's right. And I don't know if I want to share that with you right now, because I'll share it, but now I want to share it with you right now. But let me close everything out today. We'll have 12 and Guzman, and I think we got Brother Holnaker back up again today. Say, Pastor Man, you like Brother Holnaker? I like his music. I like him too. But don't quit. You know what will happen if you quit. You know. You can write that yourself. You can write the whole book and say, I quit and here's what happened. And you can write the whole book. What you don't know, or what I've been sent here today to tell you, is that don't quit. Because if you don't quit, that book of what the devil is threatening you with will never get written. It will never get written if you don't quit. Now you got to make sure that you have been called, that you have been purposed, that you have been assigned by God, and what you're doing is true and righteous. I don't tell you got to be a mass murderer out there killing people. Say, Pastor Man said, don't quit. I'm going to keep on killing people. Come on now. No, but if you know it's true, if you know it's righteous, and when you get to that point where you feel like I can't do this anymore, I'm going to quit. I'm going to quit. Understand, that's just another round in the fight. That's what happens. You say, well, Pastor Man, I started fighting this, 6 months ago. And especially people who are diagnosed with sicknesses. My heart has been going out to people that are sick and bedridden, and I'll tell y'all this. So I think I can talk to y'all. I was friends with this preacher named Dr. Calvin Butts. We drifted away, because of theological difference. But I remember our friendship from years ago. I remember our friendship. I do. And he was very helpful to me in years gone by. We drifted apart. But I heard that he had cancer. And cancer slowly wears you down. First of all, when the doctor diagnoses you, it takes the wind. It knocks you for a loop. I mean, your whole world comes crashing down when that doctor tells you got cancer. Your whole world comes down. Even though you still got it's still strong, you're still able to do some things, maybe a little blood here and there. And I know that happened to him. And finally, I'm sure he went to the pulpit Sunday after. Oh, he's a Sunday worshiper, And each week, he got weaker until finally he couldn't move anymore. He couldn't go out anymore. And then finally from there, in bed, and you can't get out of bed, and you're just sitting there waiting on death. That's a tough one. Lord knows that's a tough one. That's a tough one. And people do go through that every day. And I'm reaching out and I'm praying for people. I don't even know you. If you're going through that, I'm praying for you that God will let you get up. You're in that bed and you can't get up. You used to get up, put on your shoes, do all kinds of things, and now you can't do that no more. You can't do that for yourself anymore. No more. Anymore. I'm praying for you. And here's my answer to you. Don't quit. Don't quit. Don't quit. If your sickness is less than 38 years old, don't quit. And if it's older than 38 years, I doubt that, remember what Sarah did. Sarah quit and created a problem that is still fighting in the world today because of what Sarah did. She quit. And Abraham, too, I ain't going to leave him out there as if somebody he's innocent. Abraham was in on the deal as well. But if you're less than 38 years old and what you're suffering, don't quit. It ain't over with yet. It ain't over with yet. Your enemies will spy. People will look at you, and you may not be able to get up, but give them a strong look in the eye. If you're in that bed, you got that cancer, you got that sickness, you got that disease, give them a strong look in the eye. Your eyes are still strong. Give them a strong look. And for those of you who are fighting other kind of battles, your enemies checking in on you, let them know that you ain't quitting. And you ain't quitting, and you're going to kick butt when you do. Let them know it. But Butts was my friend. I heard that a couple of people said that he just stopped communicating, That went on for like 7 months, just not talking to anybody. I didn't know he was at that level of sickness. I didn't know that. I would have tried to see him, and I would have if I had known. If I had known, I don't travel in those circles anymore, so I'm out of that loop. But if I had known, I would have tried to see him. But a friend of mine who was aware of it said he tried to see him, but Butts just wouldn't let him come. Wouldn't. I guess he didn't want to see him in that position of his family and caretakers. But I'm saying, let me just finish up here today. I got to go. I figure you got somewhere to go. Find somebody you can serve, and then somebody will serve you. And when you're called to serve somebody, be faithful. Be faithful. Don't be a judge. Don't judge them. Be faithful. If God has sent you to serve them, don't judge them. I didn't say find somebody to judge. There's a distinction. There's a difference. Too often, that's what we do. We judge people. Find somebody to serve, not judge. You know, I passed by a wine liquor store a few weeks ago, and there was a man standing outside, and he asked me for some money. I didn't have any. I don't carry money. I don't, as they say in Jamaica, I don't walk with money anymore. I just don't do it. It says credit cards. I did. I went in the liquor store and I bought him a $2 bottle of vodka. Say, Pastor, man, and the man's an alcoholic. He's there. He done lost his way. He's all messed up. He's dribbling on the street. He's homeless. And you bought him a $2 bottle of vodka. I did. I went in the store, I bought it, I came back and I gave it to him. He said, thank you. I said, can I lay my hands on you? He looked up then, because he hadn't been looking. He looked up and he was dirty and greasy as all I do. I mean, you talking about greasy. You catch a disease just by putting your hands on him. You better be anointed. You better be anointed. That man was so greasy, you can get sick just by that. But I laid my hands on him. And I prayed for him. And I told him, you can get out of this. You can call whatever brought you, you can get out of this. He just looked at me. And he was holding a bottle in his hand. He didn't raise it up. And I walked off. I didn't try to be all preachified and start talking in tongues. And I know. I thought to myself, you bought somebody who's an alcoholic a $2 bottle of vodka. You know, if I said to him, you don't need to drink it. No. But I got that man's attention. I guarantee you, ain't nobody, I got that man's attention. And I didn't do it because I was looking for attention, mind you. But sometimes you have to serve in unrighteous manner. Sometimes I didn't judge him. You have to serve. You just have to serve. You just have to serve. I got out my car the other day. Well, wasn't my car, Minister Mato's car. He was driving me around. Some guy was on the corner down there. He wasn't raggedy or didn't look unkempt or anything like that. It was Midtown Manhattan. And I said, what's going on? He said, I need some money. I did have some money on me then. I gave him a $5 bill. Normally you just give out $1, right? I gave him $5. He looked at me. You just have to serve. You just have to serve. Don't quit. Keep the basic law of creation. Be fruitful. Now go out there and teach somebody, because some of y'all are good teachers. You're better at it than I am. All right, Mr. Engineer. By the way, it's, we're up to the Christmas season and all that's going on. So be safe out there. All right? All right, so here's a song written directly for me. Here's a man that is serving me. That's right. Written a song just for me.
Pastor Manning, you are the one to preach righteous and true. You're a sharecropper, son, Pastor Manning. The things you've been through, the Obama years, tribulation Trump too. Pastor Manning, you get knocked down, you get back up, you preach on holy ground. Pastor Manning, you're the one. You preach righteous and truth. You're a sharecropper's son.
Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad. Prospero año y felicidad. Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad. Prospero año y felicidad. I wanna wish you a Merry Christmas. I wanna wish you a Merry Christmas. I wanna wish you a Merry Christmas from the bottom of our hearts. We wanna wish you a Merry Christmas. We wanna wish you a Merry Christmas. We wanna wish you a Merry Christmas from the bottom of our hearts. Lower. Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad. Prospero año y felicidad. Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad. Prospero año y felicidad. I wanna wish you a Merry Christmas.
I wanna wish you a
Merry Christmas.
I wanna wish you a
Merry Christmas from the bottom of our hearts. We wanna wish you a Merry Christmas. We wanna wish you a Merry Christmas. We wanna wish you a Merry Christmas from the bottom of our hearts. Oh, Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad.
año y felicidad.
Feliz Navidad.
Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad. Próspero año y felicidad.
Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad. Oh yeah. Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad. Prospero año y felicidad. Oh yeah. Feliz Navidad. Oh yeah. Feliz Navidad. Oh yeah. Feliz Navidad. Prospero año y felicidad. Miracle Christmas. We wanna wish you a miracle Christmas. We wanna wish you a miracle Christmas. We wanna wish you a miracle Christmas from the bottom of our hearts. We wanna wish you a miracle Christmas. We wanna wish you a miracle Christmas. We wanna wish you a miracle Christmas from the bottom of our hearts. One more. Feliz Navidad.
Feliz Navidad.
Oh, Feliz Navidad. Prospero año y felicidad. Oh,
Feliz Navidad.
Feliz
Feliz Navidad.
Oh,
Feliz Navidad. Próspero año y felicidad.
yeah. Miracle Christmas. We want to wish you.
I'm the Lord's servant. I'm asking now is to give truth a chance. All I've ever told anybody is the truth. Now, just because you didn't understand it doesn't mean it's not true. And I'm asking people to give truth a chance.
All around, you hear the lies being told from the top. Every time you turn around, it just don't seem to stop. When you're ready to move far beyond that same old dance, all you gotta do is listen, yeah, and give truth a chance.
Give truth a chance.
Everybody,
Give truth a chance.
come on and sing it.
Give truth a chance. Give truth.
Give truth a chance.
I'm here because I am a roaring lion crying out righteousness. Welcome, everybody, to the Manning Report, the second best broadcast on the entire planet. We got gray skies. Look at that. By the way, have y'all heard about this incredible winter storm prediction that is being prognosticated and forecast for the Midwest and up and through the New York area as well? But temperatures in Iowa and in Cedar Rapids and other towns in Iowa. I've been to Iowa 1,000 times. I've been through all those towns. At any rate, wind chill factors down as low as 41 degrees, blowing snow, and flights are being canceled all over everywhere. And this is going to be at least right up through the Christmas holiday, that this extraordinary weather, and it's going to get colder here in New York as well. It probably will not have as much snow, but the Midwest, all the way down to Florida, Texas, Alabama, Louisiana, Georgia, out as far as Oregon, they got over a foot of snow already in Washington State. So I would say to everybody that, many of y'all were going to try to travel anyway, but you're not going to be able to get on an airplane. Cars are not going to be, you're going to find cars jammed up on the highways. In Colorado and in Iowa, Nebraska, also in Iowa, Indiana, it's going to be a really, really cold and snowy Christmas, but not the kind of snowy Christmas you would want, white Christmas. This is going to be, I would say that, you're going to have some temperatures -7 degrees in Jackson Hole, Wyoming. I don't know if you've ever been there. I've been out there, Jackson Hole, a couple of times. But Pastor Man, you've been everywhere. I have. No, I have. I'm a traveling man. But these record temperatures, this major storm is bringing record temperatures with heavy snow. And unfortunately, people are going to get out there and try to get over to grandma's house anyway, and they're going to end up in the morgue. I don't say that gleefully. I don't. But that's what's going to happen. And this storm is going to hang around for at least a couple of days over places like in the South, where in Houston, where they're not really experiencing a lot of cold weather, and in other places as well. So up here in New York, we're kind of used to it. So I thought I'd talk about that today before I get into my main theme here today. Did y'all see that speech by Volodymyr Zelensky last night at the House of Representatives at Congress? This is, all right, there are a couple of things going on. One is that everybody was cheering him on. They're now saying that Zelensky's speech can be compared to Churchill's speech in 1941, and Ronald Reagan is the great communicator. They're calling this guy holding that flag with those army fatigues on. It's all hype. It's not true. But I was surprised that it was, if you will, bipartisan applause last night. The House was filled to the brim with all the senators and all of the congressmen, and they were all Republican and Democrats, but they were all applauding him last night, and I thought he gave a pretty powerful speech. I mean, he's a communicator. I don't know if he's a Winston Churchill. I don't know if Winston Churchill was a Pulitzer Prize winner and one who's sufficient at the English language and was great at giving speeches. But everybody's saying he was as good as Reagan, and he's the man of the year. He's now the Times says, they don't call it man or woman anymore. They call him person of the year. But the thing that got to me is that Nancy Pelosi pulled him up. He just reached out to shake her hand. She pulled that boy up and tongue kissed. Well, she tongue kissed him, but she kissed him. What does his wife think about that? What's Nancy's husband think about it? He's been hit in the head, so he's not watching. Nancy pulled that boy over and kissed him. I said, what is this? What's this, some sort of worship of Zelensky comes over here? And everybody's, and so I thought that was a bit, much that she did that. Well, she's going to be out of that position. She won't see her back up there no more. That's probably the last time you'll see her in that well as Speaker of the House. She's gone. and good riddance. I mean, I don't dislike Nancy Pelosi. I don't, I'm not one of those persons. I don't have, but I think that last night was just a bit much. But at any rate, he's got $44 billion in cold cash Joe Biden's going to give him. And I think Biden is giving him that to cover up the fact what his son Hunter Biden did when he a couple of years ago when he was running the Energy Commission over in Ukraine. And listen, I think Zelensky called Biden and told him, listen, we need more defensive weapons, more offensive weapons to fight the Russians. Y'all aren't giving them to us. We need money over here. Y'all aren't giving it to us. Now, Tribulation Trump wanted me to start an investigation against your son, Hunter Biden. And I didn't do it. I kept my cool. But now that we've been attacked by Putin, I think this is what I think went down. These politicians, this is what I think. I think that boy Zelensky called Biden and said, either you give us the money, give us the weapons, give us the military personnel, or I'm going to tell the world about your son, Hunter Biden, and the millions of dollars he milked us for before the war got started when Trump was running for president. I'm going to tell the world about that. See what you think about that. Biden said, come on to Washington. Come to Washington. We'll let you sleep in Abraham Lincoln's bedroom. Anyway. But that's everybody says he's a great speech maker, and English is not his native tongue, so I thought he did a fairly good job. All right, I tell you what, I want to go from here. I was watching this event, this preacher out there in Brooklyn. Remember, he said that that a group of men came in and robbed him. Remember this guy out there in Brooklyn? This church, his name is Bishop Lamore Whitehead, and he's the pastor of a church called the Leaders of Tomorrow International Ministry in Brooklyn. So 2 or 3 months ago, leave him up there, Miss India, leave this clown up there. By the way, this guy is tight with Mayor Pharaoh Eric Adams. These two are tighter than two peas in a pod. I think Eric Adams used to go to this church. So I saw it in the news that somebody, he was in the middle of a worship service had on like $500,000 worth of jewelry. His wife had on $500,000 worth of jewelry, and 3 men came in and robbed him and took all his jewelry and then drove off in his Rolls Royce car, right? So I said, this guy's lying. This is a setup. I knew, because if you ever, I don't know if we still have the footage of that from some time ago, the video, I knew this guy was lying through his teeth. You look at him. He's lying. But the article now says the feds arrest flashy Brooklyn pastor Bishop Lamore Whitehead for fraud and extortion. Let me just read some of the things that he's accused of. Bishop Lamore Whitehead, a flashy Brooklyn pastor who was robbed at gunpoint over the summer, has been arrested on federal charges, according to Color News Network. Prosecutors said that the 45-year-old pastor was slammed for allegedly defrauding a parishioner and trying to extort a businessman and lying to the FBI. Whitehead, who owns the Leaders of the Tomorrow International Ministry in Brooklyn, is facing several charges including 2 counts of wire fraud, extension, and making false statements. According to the federal indictment, Whitehead allegedly defrauded one of his parishioners out of $90,000 from her retirement savings. Officials say the infamous pastor promised the parishioner that he would invest the money and use a portion of the funds to help her purchase a home. But instead, Whitehead allegedly used the cash to purchase luxury goods and other personal items. He carried out the vicious scheme over the course of 14 months, beginning around April 2020. And it goes on and on about how he tried to defraud a businessman. So they haven't been able to pin on him that the robbery that he alleged took place was a fraud. They did, I knew they were going to get him. I knew they were going to get this boy. I knew, and so they hung some other charges on him. And I think that the people that attended that church probably felt that he was an honest person. and probably gave him the opportunity, the benefit of the doubt. But they should have seen the way that robbery is so-called carried out. They need to find out, now that this has happened, they need to find out who was it that helped him rob and then defraud the insurance company. And probably if he had those jewels, all that $500,000 worth of jewelry his wife had on sitting up in the church in Brooklyn with 35 other members, I think the insurance company is probably going to be on him too to try to find out exactly what's happening. All right, everybody. I'm James David Manning. I'm the Lord's servant. I don't know who this guy Bishop Lamar Whitehead is, but I'm the Lord's servant. I'll be right back. I'm here because I am a roaring lion crying out righteousness. Well, if you have funds to give Christmas gifts, go to the Bethelite Marketplace and do some shopping there at the Bethelite Marketplace and give people gifts from that very, very exclusive website that we have, where you can give people some really, really classy antiques and gifts and stuff that just have a lot of meaning to it, rather than buying somebody a sweater or a pair of socks, or an umbrella, or giving them whatever it is, give them one of these very special gifts we have at the Bethelite Marketplace, right? And the other thing is that we have a lot of china, a lot of tea sets, and a lot of beautiful pewter and bowls and glasses, and just a lot of beautiful stuff, antiques. And you should buy something just to decorate. Look at those spoons and those pewters. You could buy that collection of pewter cups, or that coffee place, or those spoons, and for Thanksgiving. And really, you bring the people over rather than drinking out those glasses you've been drinking out, or those mayonnaise jars. Y'all don't know what I'm talking. People don't know what I'm talking about. Anyway, but imagine setting your Thanksgiving table with those beautiful pewter and that beautiful silverware there, right? And it'll just be a beautiful thing. Oh, this is really nice. And we have beautiful platters and a lot of beautiful decorative bowls. Go to the Bethelite Marketplace. Go to the Bethelite Marketplace for your shopping for Thanksgiving, for your dinner table, and for Christmas. Do that. And not only will you be a blessing by giving somebody something that's really meaningful, that will be around for a while. You give somebody a sweater, a pair of socks, they wear it once, and they'll take it back to the store and change it and get the money, and you won't even know that's what they did. But this is something that can be in family heirloom. You follow? Don't discount the Bethelite Marketplace. Go ahead now and do some shopping there, and have a beautiful Thanksgiving. Do some shopping, and now some of those stuff has already been sold, but you'll find out, and you'll have give somebody a beautiful gift, some beautiful jewelry. By the way, look for those women who are on our mailing list outside of New York City and New Jersey. You're going to get, in about a week or so, 2 weeks, you're going to get a beautiful necklace called the Mercy and Truth necklace. But my friends, use the Bethelite Marketplace. That beautiful pewter set of cups will be a great place. You put a little wine in it, put some, iced tea or something in it, Oh, I say you don't drink wine. Okay, all right, okay. Well, Jesus did. Anyway, so this is just some beautiful stuff to make your Thanksgiving dinner, and surely do your Christmas shopping. You'll catch two birds with one net. One is that you'll have a priceless gift that will last for hundreds of years, and you'll also help us fight the foreclosure that is beaming down on us every day as they're trying to take our building. Look at all that beautiful jewelry. That is some really beautiful stuff, really beautiful stones, and some great artwork to that. Use the Bethelite Marketplace. Go to our website, click into the Bethelite Marketplace, and you'll be there. All right.
Hi, come in. Since the pandemic, I haven't had any house guests, so I decided to invite a couple of friends over. And guess what? They love the way I've redecorated. What's my secret? Bethelite Marketplace. They have wonderful items such as wall decor and fine china. So if you want to be the talk of the town, go to Bethelite Marketplace. And hurry.
Come to Bethelite Marketplace, the one-stop shopping dream.
All right, I got more New York news about New York frauds. The first fraud news was about this Bishop Lamar Whitehead. That fraud, called himself a preacher out there in Brooklyn, right? Well, he's been arrested by the FBI. He's going to be doing some long sentences in the federal pen. But I want to get you another fraud from New York, a congressman. This guy's Latino. I think this guy Lamar is gay too. I think he's gay. He's married, but that don't mean nothing. I think he's gay. Anyway, this guy, this Congress, they just got elected right out in Nassau County. This guy is the line. The politicians lie. Okay, that's just this guy lied about where he went to school, lied about what degrees he has, lied about where he worked, lied about being Jewish. This boy is Latino. This boy carries a switchblade knife, and he says he's Jewish. This is incredible. And people out in Nassau County went for it. This guy can lie. Anyway, I tell you what, I'm going to let the engineer run the clip. This engineer leave my mic open in case I want to chime in.
Look, as I always joke, I'm Jew-ish.
Throughout his campaign, Republican Congressman-elect George Santos would refer to himself as half Jewish or a Latino Jew, often telling his grandparents' story, how he says they survived the Holocaust as Ukrainian Jewish refugees and converted to Catholicism, changing their surname to survive. Here's how Santos explained it just last month in an interview with the Jewish News Syndicate.
I'm very proud of my grandparents' story. My grandfather fleeing Ukraine, fleeing Stalin's persecution, going to Belgium, finding refuge there, marrying my grandmother, then fleeing Hitler, going to Brazil. That's a story of perseverance.
It's a story that may not be true. His misrepresentations of his family history first reported by the Jewish publication The Forward, and his story contradicted by numerous sources reviewed by CNN's K-File. Records from the Holocaust Museum and the International Center on Nazi Persecution, which keeps records on Jewish refugees, show no mention of Santos's grandparents. One genealogist who helped research Santos's family tree at CNN's request said there's no sign of Jewish and or Ukrainian heritage and no indication of name changes along the way.
I'm so proud to be able to keep our family going forward and showing that not only did we survive, but now I'm able to go advocate and fight for other Jewish people.
Santos has not responded to CNN requests about his family history and discrepancies with his resume and biography.
People are perplexed. They're asking me, how could somebody possibly tell this scale of lies and get elected?
Among the seeming misrepresentations, first detailed by the New York Times and confirmed by CNN, Santos's biography has at times claimed he earned degrees in finance and economics from Baruch College and New York University. CNN found he also said in at least 2 separate interviews he received an MBA from NYU.
Today, I stand very proud with the bachelor's and master's degree, all New York educated, Baruch College and NYU for my MBA.
A spokesman for NYU telling CNN something different. The university records do not reflect anyone with that name having attended NYU, while a spokesperson for Baruch College could not find anyone with his name or birthday ever attending the school. The record of his work history also murky. His campaign bio mentioned stints at Citigroup and Goldman Sachs. Neither Citigroup nor Goldman Sachs have any records of his employment. Santos listed on his 2022 financial disclosure a salary of $750,000 and claimed he made the same amount last year. Income, he says he earned from the DeVolder organization, which he says is his family's firm. A search showed the firm was registered in Florida last year. The state temporarily deemed it inactive for failure to file required annual reports. CNN found Santos filed the required report Tuesday. Santos's attorney said Santos represents the kind of progress that the left is so threatened by, a gay Latino immigrant and Republican who won a Biden district in overwhelming fashion. The Nassau County Republican Committee chair called the issues being raised serious, adding every person deserves an opportunity to clear his or her name in the face of accusations. And I look forward to the congressman-elect's responses to the news report.
My parents came to this country in search of the American dream.
That boy can lie. I mean, would you lie like that? Would you? I mean, I guess people do that all the time. I would never do that. I'd be too embarrassed to say I went to a school and didn't go there, and they called the school and said they never heard of you. But Obama did the same thing. Columbia University. Anyway, so a couple of things are going to happen. First of all, he's just another New York liar. We got two frauds on today. All New York news. I'm going to go to Nigeria in just a moment, though. That's the lyingest man. That boy lied about everything. He lied about where he went to school, lied about how much money he made, lied about work, lied about being, I mean, you got to be a big liar to claim to be. Knowing you're a Latino, knowing you carry a switchblade knife and somebody called you a wetback 2 years ago, and you're going to say you're Jewish? That's chutzpah. Whoa! I mean, he said he's Jewish. I mean, what else, what other kind of lie can he tell? Except maybe say he's Obama. Maybe he's Obama's son out of another wedding, out of an illegal, this is unbelievable. And the other problem is that congressionally, he won a seat out in Nassau County that if he's not seated, and I don't think they're going to seat that boy come January 3rd or whenever it is he's supposed to be seated, that means that district is going to be open again. I don't know whether someone can be appointed as a congressman. I'm not sure what the congressional laws are regarding that. Possibly he could, the Nassau County Republican chairperson can appoint somebody to that position, and they'll keep Kevin McCarthy or whoever's going to be the Speaker of the House. That'll keep the majority with the Republicans going forward. But if they lose that one seat, that's going to be big trouble. But I mean, would you lie like that? I mean, think about and with a straight face too. And you have to know that somebody's going to check you out. Somebody's going to find you out. Anyway, that's what he did. Now, I want to go back to this Bishop Lamar Whitehead. I want to let you know that a part of what he did was he scammed somebody out. He tried to scam somebody out of $500,000. Because he was very tight with Mayor Eric Adams. He's very tight with Eric Adams. I think Eric Adams has attended his church. Now, I don't watch New York One news, and I haven't seen very much about whether or not New York One is tying Eric Adams. But this guy had an open door to Pharaoh Eric Adams. And Pharaoh Eric Adams, and first of all, I think he's gay, this guy, Lamar Whitehead. I think he's gay. And I don't know. People say, well, there's nothing wrong with being gay. And that's what a lot of people say. Well, the Bible says it's wrong. But I think Eric Adams is gay. I do. And I think that's what their relationship was about. Because Eric Adams ain't into Jesus. But if they're both gay, and I'm not here spreading misinformation, Pastor, man, they're going to take me down off of Facebook or something like that. I said I think he's gay. I do. This Latino, this George Santos boy who claims he's Jewish, he admits he's gay and lying up a storm. But the thing of it is that whether or not Eric Adams is going to come under any scrutiny for hanging out at this boy's church and having this boy having an entree into Eric Adams as Pharaoh and mayor of New York City. And so I'm waiting to see what they're going to do about that. In terms of Eric Adams' choice of friends. They have a saying down in North Carolina, if you're in St. Paul or Rennet or Maxton or Rayford or Laurinburg, even across the border in McCall, South Carolina, that birds of a feather flock together. And I think that Eric Adams, they may be looking carefully at him. But what Eric Adams has, he's got heavy, heavy Jewish protection. This boy, Eric Adams, this boy is covered by the Jews. Pardon me, and I'm a Zionist. Mr. Engineer's found a picture of those two. That's him. Yeah, there they go. Look at that. You think they're gay? You think that? Look at that. Here's a guy. So what they gonna do now? They're gonna investigate Eric Adams. Did he have anything to do with it? I think so. I think they should. I mean, how does a scoundrel, like a scam artist like this, get hooked up with somebody like Eric Adams? I think the thing that brought them together is probably they was having gay sex, years ago before Eric Adams became mayor. But there they go. There they go. This thing needs to be investigated, and I think the FBI's arrested. I knew that they're gonna get this boy. He said some 3 men came in and robbed him and his wife, and he had over $500,000 worth of jewelry on, sitting up at a church with 35 members, with a Rolls Royce parked outside, by the way. So Eric Adams, you need to answer, what is your relationship? Did you receive any campaign contributions from this man, Eric Adams? Did you receive any campaign contributions? Did you give him any money, or did you give him any political influence? There needs to be an investigation to find out what is going on between this scam artist, this shyster, this liar from way back when, this fleecer. What's going on between him and Pharaoh Eric Adams? I would suggest both of them get good lawyers. And if New York City does not investigate, if Alvin Bragg does not investigate, if Tish James does not call for an investigation of this so-called Bishop Whitehead and Pharaoh Eric Adams, then nobody should be charged with any crime. No one should ever be investigated again in New York City if they let this stink. If they let this stink in here, and it needs to be put out. It needs to be put out now. And I'm going to keep on, I'm staying on this story. This is one I'm going to stay with for quite some time. At any rate, everybody, something's going on. I think they're gay. Look at that. Well, would you do that with another man? I'll take a picture with a woman like that. Oh, sorry, Elizabeth. I'll take a picture, but would you take a picture with a man would you do that? All up in one another's face? Would you do that? I mean, would any man do that? They gay. And I think this is going to follow Eric Adams. Anyway, we'll see. It ain't over with. I'm staying on top of this one right here in New York with the fraud that's going on with Pharaoh Eric Adams. At least alleged to be fraud. Let's put it that way. I'm James Evan Manning, everybody. I'm the Lord's servant.
Yes, this message is for Honorable James Manning. I just watched his stream from 12 hours ago, and he talks about how the black people or black men never built anything. Well, I'm here to tell you he has. He's built a temple from here, from earth up to heaven, and I don't think there's any scientist or engineer or anything like that that can say that they've done what James Manning has done. So he is the one black man that has done more than any of them. He's done more than Martin Luther King. As much as I love Martin Luther King, he didn't reach the people that Mr. James Manning reached, because Dr. James Manning has reached so many people through YouTube itself, all over the world. And he has built something that will never be moved, will never be shaken. And what he has done, God just shines upon him, and he respects God and Christ. And you look at a lot of these churches that have been taken over by false preachers, and I think they were injected into the churches to destroy the church and to destroy the faith, so that people will not believe in God or Christ anymore. And that is the goal. And he keeps fighting them. And I respect him, and I tell you, God respects him, and Christ respects him. And he has built a tower, a concrete tower, a golden tower, whatever you want to call it, that reaches from earth to heaven. And he has saved so many people and touched so many people's lives. And he will be greeted when he crosses over one day. And his wife has helped him, been right there with him. So she gets credit too. By the most beautiful people he could ever imagine, ever. I don't think, but anyways, he's a wonderful man, and he is the one man that has built more than any of them, and they cannot sit there and, they all march around in front of the cameras and everything, and trying to be like Martin Luther King. But Mr. Manning is actually bigger than Martin Luther King. So I just wanted to say that and tell him how much we love him and appreciate him, and I'm sure that God does and Christ does as well. Thank you. Have a good day.
Good morning, Mrs. Manning. This is John Kaminsky in Florida. I have some bad news. Just what you need, more bad news, right? I've been dismissed from my position at speakfreeradio.com, and I've spent a lot of time trying to put together an alternative way to conduct an interview. I think Pastor Manning is an exemplary human being, and I want to help him, but I'm not sure I can help him. What I've come up with is he needs to talk to Tucker Carlson. Tucker Carlson, for all his flaws and connections, he would be more apt to give you the impact that you need. I'm just now an unemployed renegade who likes honest human beings, which is why I like your husband. But it's become too difficult a proposition. I arranged an alternative way to do it, but in thinking about it, I can't provide the impact that he needs to deal with the problem that he expressed in that YouTube I just watched. So I want to thank you for your kindness and your mission. I want to wish you the best of luck, but I'm not the guy to help you as much as I would like to. Thank you very much for your time. I'm sorry for all the confusion. My life is pretty confused as well, just like yours. Thanks again. Good luck. God be with you.
We did a thing called Joseph's Project, where all this crime, runaway crime, in New York City, and guess what? New York police, not that they're cowards now, I'm not saying they're cowards, but they're running from New York City. Mainly because you got this Alvin Bragg, you got people down there can commit murder, robbery, rape, extortion, and get out with no bail here in New York City. Police catch you, take you to the court. The court, the judge say, all right, let him go. Well, and you never show up. So New York police officers are leaving New York and going to Florida down there. They're handing in their badges because of the crime here in New York, mainly because of Pharaoh Eric Adam and this other idiot called Alvin Bragg. But Mr. Engineer, you have a video of that. Let somebody else say it better than I can say it.
Working in Florida, many NYPD officers are handing in their badges and then heading south. For a little over a year now, Florida's governor has been luring them. John Diaz explains moving companies are now even partnering with him.
What he's done is smart.
A former NYPD detective, Efrain Collado, is referring to this speech Florida Governor Ron DeSantis made in September of 2021 when he announced he is financially rewarding police officers from different states who quit and come join the police in his state.
I think it's a way to capitalize off some of the folks who are not getting the support they need and to say, you know what, you'll be supported in Florida, and we're also going to make sure that we do our best to make it worth your while.
The promises the governor made even enticed Collado to put back on a police uniform a few years after he retired from the NYPD and moved to Florida.
Just going on national television and telling police officers and first responders that I want you. I mean, it's huge to hear that.
Through a new program called Be a Florida Hero, DeSantis is recruiting cops from all over the country, especially where he says morale is low, but seemingly looking to get officers mostly from the NYPD. Numbers from the New York City Police Pension Fund show 2022 has hit a record, the highest number of NYPD resignations in 2 decades. Through November, more than 1,200 officers resigned, some heading to Florida. DeSantis tweeted on Monday, more than 600 officers nationwide have joined his state. He is offering a $5,000 sign-on bonus, down payment assistance for first-time homeowners, and up to $10,000 for helping to adopt a child. Lawyers say what DeSantis is doing is legal.
The bottom line is that there's the freedom to go. There's nothing illegal about it, nothing wrong with it. All you're doing is you're inducing somebody to start a job at a new location. A government can do it. An employer can do it.
And now, moving companies are even helping to sweeten the deal.
My goal here isn't to deplete the NYPD of their officers. These are officers that are already contemplating leaving.
The founder of Good Greek Moving and Storage says he's spending $20,000 a month on commercials to advertise the program.
we're going to help relocate some of America's best law enforcement officers.
And is offering discounts to those who take the governor up on the deal. He anticipates he will help up to 100 cops move.
As a former police officer, now a leader in my industry, I'm going to make sure that these families make it to where they want to go.
But the main question still remains. Are the roots of the NYPD buried deep enough in the streets of New York to keep officers here?
You know, this can be more of a problem than it first meets the eye. First of all, New York City is crime-riddled. Secondly, I told you that my job is to correct the Hamite brother. You got a black mayor. If he was a Hamite, that might be something good to say. A black mayor. You got a black district attorney for the county of Manhattan, and you got a black woman as the attorney general for the state of New York. That's trouble. That's just trouble. I'll tell you what. Let's say the mayor of New York was Jewish. Let's say the district attorney for the county of New York was Jewish. And let's say the attorney general for the state of New York. That's trouble. If all three of them are Jewish. That's trouble in a different kind of way. But you got 1,200 police officers that are resigning and moving to Florida. The other thing is that, there are 800 people moving to Florida every day. 800 new people take up a residency in Florida. The state is now being overrun. I haven't been to Florida in a long time. I used to love to go down there. I haven't been down there. I got caught doing a burglary job down there, but that's another story. But 800 people move to Florida every day because they want to get away from all this riffraff. But the cities in Florida are becoming overrun now and crime-riddled as well. So they're probably not producing as many police officers as they need to produce. So DeSantis said, come on down here to Florida. We'll give you a $5,000 signing bonus. We'll help you get a down payment on your home. And we'll give you money if you'll adopt children here in Florida. That sounds like a sweet, but that's leaving New York streets bereft of the kind of police protection that one would want to have. But crime, the Joseph Project, I talked about the Joseph Project, and I still think it's a good idea. It ought to be implemented, and Pharaoh Eric Adams ought to call me. But most of the crime, a lot of the crime that's being done now is done by teenagers. Because the older men have lost their way. They're homeless, and in many ways they're homeless and harmless. However, I got a story here now of a woman who stabbed to death in a Manhattan shelter. God, Pastor Manny. Woman stabbed to death in a Manhattan shelter over loud music, was a runaway model. I don't know if we have a picture of her. This is a young woman, right? And she was stabbed to death, and she's living in the shelter. Now, this is what New York has come to under the leadership of Obama and all these so-called Black Lives Matter. You got this beautiful young woman who has no place to go living in a shelter. She ain't the only one. The New York shelters are running over. And also the streets of Los Angeles and shelters are running over as well. But let me read the story. A woman living in a Manhattan shelter knifed to death by her roommate in a fight over loud music was an aspiring fashion model whose beauty graced several runway shows. Heartbroken relatives told the Daily News on Wednesday. She attended New York Fashion Week and did some magazine covers. Victoria Good's older brother, Damian King, said in an exclusive interview from his home in Oklahoma City, she's also done numerous runways. That's why she was in New York. She's 27 years old. She was knifed to death, allegedly, by a roommate, Charmaine Crossman, during a quarrel over Goody playing music too loud at the Project Renewal shelter in Manhattan. Now, I don't believe that. Now, I'm not casting the aspersion. Put it back up there. That's the stabber. I am not trying to spread bad news or pin items on people to disparage them or defame them in any way. But I think these were two lesbians. That's what I think. You don't stab somebody because they're playing loud, unless you're Ben Carson. Remember Ben Carson said he stabbed his friend out there, he was in Michigan, and they would listen to a transistor radio, and Ben Carson said he stabbed his friend with a knife, but the knife didn't go through because he hit the belt buckle. Remember that lie? Ben Carson, the one said he hit his mama in the head when Ben Carson, Donald Trump's secretary, I think, of housing or something like that. Dr. Ben Carson, the brain surgeon, right? See, he stabbed this friend over loud music. But I think, put that back up again, Mr. I think this was a lover's quarrel. That's what I think. And somebody ought to say it, you know. But who don't like loud music? I mean, come on now. You're a Hamite and you don't like, what do you, go to the opera or something? What do you, the Nutcracker? If you're a Hamite, who don't like loud, who likes low music? And they're going to fight over it? And you're going to say, so if the music, like, turn the music down, will you please? But you don't get a butcher knife, and start stabbing people 30 times over loud music. Somebody lying. Just like I believe that boy Eric Adams and that fraud preacher, that Bishop Lamar Whitehead, I think they had a thing going on too. A lot of that stuff is going on today. A lot of that stuff, that homosexual stuff, that stuff, let me tell you something. Homosexual people kill each other. I told you about my uncle's friend named Lonnie, how he was killed. And I'm not here trying to disparage people. I'm just, the woman's dead. And if you go for the story that it was over loud music, then okay. Then I got some land in Florida, in the Everglades. I'll not say that no more, because the land in Florida, still, no matter where you sell it, it's still worth something. I got the Brooklyn Bridge, I want to say you, if you believe that was over loud music. But she was inspiring. Why? I mean, put it back up one more time, Miss Engineer. Run a few of her photos. She looked pretty good for a model. Why didn't she, what was wrong with, you got a full body shot of her. Why didn't somebody, how did she get from there to a shelter? How? Why would anyway? She was like 27 years old. Is that how old she is? That's getting up there a little bit. For a model, that is. But how did she go from the runways of New York City to a shelter? I can understand she fall on hard times. Listen, entertainment business, modeling business is tougher than tough. I mean, it is tough. But it looks as if she would have had somebody to fall back on, to lean on, rather than ending up in a shelter. I think they were lovers. That's my view of it. Not to disparage her, but that's what I think took place. At any rate, I got another event here. So crime in New York is off the chain. I can tell you that right now. And we need to be very, very careful about our police officers moving down to Florida. DeSantis that guy is pretty savvy, that guy played Trump like a Stradivarius fiddle and said, I'm going to have my children I'm reading bedtime stories to my children when he was running for governor, right? And Trump loved that. I mean, Trump loved that. I got this other story here, but the devout Christian teacher jailed for refusing to use his students' preferred pronouns. When Enoch Burke, a devout Christian teacher, refused to use a student's preferred pronouns, the school took action against him by suspending him. Now, it appears that the students want to teach the teacher English, but a newfangled English, the homosexual LGBTQ plus English. Anyway, however, when Mr. Burke ignored the order and continued teaching, the school teacher was arrested. My God. But this thing with homosexuality, it's done gone too far, man. It's done gone. Anyway, he was arrested and could miss Christmas as he would be behind bars. Mr. Burke's ordeal started when he encountered one of his students last September, a student who was transitioning and therefore demanded to be addressed in the gender-neutral pronoun of they instead. Instead, Mr. Burke continued to use he when addressing the student. Although the widely reported incident occurred in Ireland, some section of the media report that the school teacher was not arrested for refusing to use gender-neutral pronoun. While that might be the technical reason for the arrest, the reason why the school suspended him or the reason why Mr. Burke's troubles seemed to be ignored. However, while that might be the case, Mr. Burke's sentencing judge, Justice Michael Quinn, jailed him for contempt of court. Furthermore, the judge gave Mr. Burke an indefinite prison term, which can only be ended if Mr. Burke agrees to obey the terms of the injunction, which was termed as calling this student, this transvestite, they rather than he. Ain't that nothing? Lord have mercy. Jeff Bezos, man, get that rocket. We got to go to another planet where there ain't no homosexuals. We got to go. But listen, now I know you don't have to go there. I got just a story for you. Oh no, you don't have to go to Jeff Bezos' planet. Here you can go to Nigeria. Mr. Engineer, we got here. Islamic police raid gay wedding in Nigeria's Kano City. Mm-hmm. Yeah, here they go. This is the Islamic peace, these boys, right? Leave that there, Mr. Engineer. The Islamic police force in northern Nigeria, main city, has arrested 19 Muslims, accusing them of attending a wedding of a same-sex couple. The force raided the marriage ceremony in Kano after a tip-off. Its spokesman, Lawal Ibrahim Fags, oh Lord, that's what it says, Fags said. The couple, who had not yet had taken their vows, managed to flee. And police were searching for them. I wonder if they ran off together, the husband and the man. Anyway, Kano has a majority Muslim population where an Islamic legal system operates alongside the secular law. Homosexual activity acts are illegal under both legal systems in the whole of Nigeria. And when those living in the north are mainly, those living in the north are mainly Muslims and people in the south are largely Christians, Kano's Islamic police force is popularly known as the Hizbak and enforces a strict moral code. All right, so, these boys broke up on a wedding. Somebody told me there was a wedding going on, same-sex marriage, and a bunch of Muslims sitting up in there. One of the things I said going back a few years, America and the Islamic people and Africans finally rejected Barack Hussein Obama when they saw he was promoting LGBTQ. They rejected. First of all, when he was running back in 2008, he was the Messiah. But when that boy came out with Obama promoting LGBTQ, Africa turned him down. Didn't want to see him. Don't even come over here, they said. But now it appears that LGBTQ is spreading in Africa as well. And as you can see, there was a couple getting married, and a bunch of Muslims went to the wedding of two men getting married in Kano, in Nigeria. And the police arrested the people who were attending the wedding. That's what it's all coming to. Well, I pray that our events today have been meaningful to you. Again, we've got this Christmas holiday coming up. I'm going to lay low. We will have our worship services on Saturday, Christmas Eve, New Year's Eve worship services on next Saturday, New Year's Eve. And we pray that you'll use good judgment this Christmas. They're saying this storm is going to be a humdinger. And I think our 1,500-gallon tank of oil has about 900 gallons in it now, 900 to 1,000. So I think we can make it through because there probably will be very little oil delivery. And we're going to have some of the men kind of stake out at the church to make sure everything is copacetic, as Little Turkey would say down in North Carolina, going back 45 years ago. But I pray that you'll be safe. And, I pray that you'll remember us with our foreclosure issue. I don't talk a lot about it. It is grievous. It is a vicious fight. It is a vicious fight. You've never seen anything like this. Most foreclosures are pretty simple. The judge puts the gavel down and says sell the property, and most people don't have the wherewithal or the strength to stop it. I've been fighting it for years and fighting it more fiercely since over the last 2 years. I've been stopping it. And I don't talk, but we need funding. We do. We have 4 different lawyers and law firms because we have to have a bankruptcy lawyer, and then we've got an Article 78 lawyer who does something altogether different. And we got a lawyer that's suing Mark Anderson. And so there's just a lot of expense that we are encountering right now. Our ministry is experiencing the price of eggs have gone up to twice of what they were. We serve a lot of eggs here at the breakfast program. and bread and milk has gone up. And we need your support. We need your prayers. And by the way, I want to thank everybody who has given. Thank you for giving. Thank you. God bless you. Thank you for giving. And some of y'all are just heroic in your giving. You just thank you, thank you, thank you. And the other thing is that I realize that inflation is running still at about 9% of what it was this time last year. In other words, if you paid, $100 for something last year this time, it'll cost you $110 this year. And you may not have gotten an increase in salary. And you're trying to make ends meet now with less money. But I do want you, those of you who have the ability, who have the funds and you're secure, remember us in your giving. And you don't just have to give money. You can give cars, you can give land, you can give houses, you can give jewelry. Those are things that you can give as well. If you got a piece of jewelry or watch or a ring or something, it's just there and the dress in the box has been there for years. Just send it to us. Just send it to us. And it'll help us. You got a car that you're not using, or some land, like the pastor down there in Tennessee gave us a parcel of land. And we'll take it and we'll convert it into cash. But there's all kinds of ways and things that you can give. So please remember us. And of course, Cash App is a very quick way of your transferring your funds from your bank to our bank instantly. So we are depending on you. You're all we have. You're all we have. And I pray that I'm meaningful to you. I pray that what I do on a daily basis is important to you and that you wouldn't want to see this closed down and you wouldn't want to see me go down in defeat. I pray that you would not want to see me defeated, that you wouldn't want the homosexuals, the LGBTQ, the biased judges, the crooked lawyers. You don't want them to get the victory over me, do you? And maybe some of y'all are a little bit distant, from the church. You used to be here, but you don't really want to see me go down in defeat. I've served this community for 40 years. And I'm a good pastor. I'm not here tooting my own horn or bragging and that kind of thing. But I'm really, I've been faithful. And you don't want to see me go down in defeat. And you got it by you. You could give. You could actually give. You don't want to see the school closed. You don't want that to happen. You don't. What the children say, well, let them go to a public school. Now, come on. Many of you graduated or attended a school that your children attended our school. You don't want to see us go down in defeat. You don't want the headlines of the newspaper. Harlem pastor, anti-LGB, Harlem pastor church shut down in foreclosure and sold to the LGBTQ, whoever else they wanted to buy the building, not own the building. You don't want that. You don't want to see that, and you don't want that stink. And the other thing is that I'm a fighter. So you have it by you. You could give. Many of you are not under financial pressure right now. I mean, the prices are going up. That's true, but you could give. All right, I'm not going to bother Brother Honecker anymore, but I'm going to have him sing this song of. No, I'm sorry. We got the Guzmans here. They're gonna go ahead and take us to the top of the hour, I believe. Go ahead, Mr. Engineer.
Feliz Navidad, Feliz Navidad, Feliz Navidad, prospero año y felicidad. Feliz Navidad, Feliz Navidad, Feliz Navidad, prospero año y felicidad. I wanna wish you a Merry Christmas. I wanna wish you a Merry Christmas. I wanna wish you a Merry Christmas from the bottom of our hearts. We wanna wish you a Merry Christmas. We wanna wish you a Merry Christmas. We wanna wish you a Merry Christmas from the bottom of our hearts. Lower. Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad, prospero año y felicidad. Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad. Prospero año y felicidad. I wanna wish you a Merry Christmas. I wanna wish you a Merry Christmas. I wanna wish you a Merry Christmas from the bottom of our hearts. We wanna wish you a Merry Christmas. We wanna wish you a Merry Christmas. We wanna wish you a Merry Christmas from the bottom of our hearts. Oh, Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad.
Prospero año y felicidad.
Feliz Navidad.
Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad. Prospero año y felicidad.
Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad. Oh yeah. Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad. Prospero año y felicidad. Oh yeah. Feliz Navidad. Oh yeah. Feliz Navidad. Oh yeah. Feliz Navidad. Prospero año y felicidad. Miracle Christmas. We wanna wish you a miracle Christmas. We wanna wish you a miracle Christmas. We wanna wish you a miracle Christmas from the bottom of our hearts. We wanna wish you a miracle Christmas. We wanna wish you a miracle Christmas. We wanna wish you a miracle Christmas from the bottom of our hearts. One more. Feliz Navidad.
Feliz Navidad.
Oh, Feliz Navidad. Prospero año y felicidad. Oh,
Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad.
Oh,
Feliz Navidad.
Oh, yeah. Miracle Christmas. We wanna wish you a miracle Christmas. We wanna wish you a miracle Christmas. We wanna wish you a miracle Christmas from the bottom of our hearts. We wanna wish you a miracle Christmas. We wanna wish you a miracle Christmas. We wanna wish you a miracle Christmas from the bottom of our hearts. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Pastor Manning, you are the one to preach righteous and true. You're a sharecropper, son. Pastor Manning, the things you've been through, the Obama years, tribulation, trial.